Bom dia a todas, bom dia a todos. Sejam bem-vindas e bem-vindos a mais uma conversa do The Black Consciousness Festival 2021.
Black Conscious Festival 2021. This talk, which the title is Narratives, Black Narratives and their Plural. Calila de Merces is from Berimbau, from Bahia. She's currently in Brasilia, and Calila, she's a doctor of literature, and she's interested in movements and groups that are involved with literatures and arts. She got an award as for many projects she has done here in Bahia. Our thesis was defended in 2021, talking about Black women in Brazil literature. Recently, was in the lead of another festival in Chapada dos Veadeiros. And next year, she's going to release her book with Editora Contos. For her, Black leadership and Black movements are responsible for lots of things happening in the world. As well as Calila, who's going to be the mediator. We're also going to have the honor of talking to a writer, an actress, and a very important figure here. Her name is Yasmin. She's a young Brazilian writer. She got an award in the first journalism awards, and she has actually had many publications already. And we're also going to have here on our talk Mariana Luiza. She was born in Rio. She's been creating chronics and short stories since she's young. She's been winning awards nationally and internationally, and for many years. For many years, she saw herself as a mixed race, and she se graduou pela New York Film Academy, na Escola de Cinema, dirigiu e produziu directed and produced the documentary ABC, and in 2016 she produced Casca de Baobá, and actually recently she's been working on our first long feature film, talking about the project of the whitening of the society here in Brazil. She's worked in many different film productions here in Brazil. I would like to wish all of you a good talk, and I hope everyone will be able to learn a lot here from this talk. I think about the Black people every day, even when I don't say anything. What it's about being Black, what I love about being Black, doesn't kill, it moves, it hugs, it makes you feel whole. I'd like to say good morning to everyone here present. It's an honor to be here today in the Black Festival movement, about Conscious Festival. And I hope that everyone that's here with us is doing well within our possibilities regarding the fact that we are actually still during the pandemic, and also we may have other problems within our countries. And this festival is like like a moment of hope that we can be proud, and that we can have an experience to share our knowledge between Black people. Like Anderson Gonçalves already said, the opening of every one of our works. My name is Camila. I'm from Bahia. I'm a journalist. I'm a researcher. And today I'll be the mediator of this talk that is called Narrativa Negras and Movimentos Plurais. And before I talk a little bit about this talk, I'd like to say hi to everyone that's here with us. And this morning, everyone that's going to watch later. And I'd like to thank everyone that is being involved in this event. I would like to thank Sean. I'd like to thank Roberto that is here as an interpreter. And I would also have to do special thanks to Anderson Gonçalves for inviting me for the event. I'd like to thank the organizers to have had given us the opportunity to meet lots and lots of different activists and here. So when it was asked me what theme I would like to talk about in this talk, and when I was given the opportunity to talk to these amazing women that I hear, I took it. Yasmin is a friend, a colleague since I was really young, and Mariana that I've known her for a few for not for many years, but she's an amazing woman. She's a director, a screenplay writer, and this opportunity to be here and do these connections, to be able to create art together, it's an amazing feeling. We are women that are always moving, always we're women that create our own journeys. Um, and I believe that it's every day is more and more important to take this and show this to everyone. So here on our talk, we're going to talk about the technologies. We're going to talk about how we are. We're going to talk about. We're going to dive deep into our artists' lives and how that dialogues with the present time, focusing on our ancestry, focusing on our subjective creativity. And the purpose of this talk is it's an act of political art, so that each one of the talkers, the speakers, can present themselves. Anderson began introducing us a little bit, and this exercise of introducing yourself is something that you can actually reflect on, something that you can think as a way of telling people more on who we are. I want Yasmin and Mariana to introduce themselves. Hello, hello, good morning to everyone. Everyone is here with us. I'd like to say good morning to these amazing women that are here with me, and I'd like to thank the festival and everyone that has been working to make this moment so incredible. This the day after the day of Black Conscious here in Brazil. It is a day that is very important about the memory of the people that built this country. Uh, I remember a lot I look back at of the quote from a Bahia writer that says, "I am who I am." Uh, so I am a question, you know, I am a dream, I am a writer, I am a woman that is connected with our time, with the people that were there and constructed part of me, people that were within my journey. I am all this and I am a work in process, you know, I am building. I'd like to say good morning to everyone. I'd like to make their words my words, and I'd like to thank Anderson and everyone that's behind this event. You know, I'd like to thank Sean, I'd like to thank Anderson and Roberto, the interpreter. And it's been an honor to be meeting these two women that I didn't know, and I've researched a little bit about them, and I am amazed. It's something I think we're gonna have an amazing talk, you know. So thinking about this question, um, like since we're talking about narratives, you know, I'd like to think about. I would like to talk about my narrative, you know. I would like to talk about the knowing like how to talk how my experience was, you know. I was raised in a family that was really influenced by like a whitening, you know. So I've been seeing myself and finding myself as a Black woman very recently, building that recognition now. You know, I'm a person. Uh, like when I was a younger, I was a kid that was really. I was I was a big liar. You know, I used to like create stories about everything when I was when I was a big kid, when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I used to go by bus to school, and I used to create stories. You know, like once I created a story that my mother was pregnant of twins. You know, I am from the 80s, so I'm actually older than both of you. Um, and once I saw a book that was a book for pregnant women. So I used to read this book, and I would tell people about the experiences, about how my how my mother was pregnant, you know. So when she was like, when I was telling people that she was already 9 months, that was the day my mother, for the first time, she came to pick me up, you know. But on the next day, even though everyone saw that she wasn't pregnant, I carried on the story, you know, like I told everyone that the twins were born, and I carried on this lie. You know, when I stop and I think about this story, I actually think that this is something that connected me, something that made the storyteller I am today. The narrative I constructed back then can actually help us to define who we really are when we don't have stories, when we have like a blank slate. So the blank page gives us a reference of who we are, you know. I think I spoke a lot. I'd like to hear more about you guys, you know. These days, one of our references talk about the importance of us talking about how we grew up, you know, and Mariana is talking a little bit about how our storytelling began even when she was a little kid, you know, how memory can like invent things and create things, and that's very interesting. And Conceição spoke on an interview that her writings are born from her being matutando. Matutando is thinking about things like daydreaming. And I would like you guys to talk a little bit more about how your creative process works. You know, something Mariana already started talking about. I'd like to know more. You know, how you guys believe that our technologies, the way we are using resistance, can be used on the day-to-day, considering the social political field that we are actually, you know, living today. I know it's a very, very big question, but I'd like to hear a lot more about you. We're going to talk. I'm talking with a doctor here, you know? So it's a very complex question. But talking about you know, our resistance, but more important than talking about this, how we resist, it's really important for us to talk about how we live, how we survive, how we fight, how we can be ourselves. More than resist, it's important for us to be ourselves within our story. And to be an agent, it's been something that is within our ancestry, but it's not only the past, it's today. The ancestry is here today, it's present. So a way of building this narrative, it's not through, like when I was a kid, I used to lie a lot and creating, but it's not that way that we are going to build our resistance, you know? Because I believe when we start connecting with our ancestry, when we start thinking about it and try to create a narrative with our ancestry, it's about a creation that comes from our references, from what we've lived, you know. It doesn't come from the whitening of society or all those other things. I'm not sure if I'm actually putting together the question very well, but the answer very well, but we need to think about how our stories connect us and how all of that influences and everything, like it submerges, it goes in, it like it's some stuff, stories that are with are submerged on our subconscious. So, some stories are actually right in front of us, but we don't see it because for a long it was blocked by us for a long time. So when I think about the technology of resistance, so I think about how we can break down the narratives, the influences of life that are there to like to whiten us, to you know about this. When we understand how this work, how this narrative works, we noticed how Brazil has a whitening society, a whitening narrative. You know, we come from we come with influences of the bourgeois, of religious influence upon us, trying to erase our ancestry, trying to whiten the population. So I always think about this when I'm creating my narrative of life, the who I am. It, I believe that we can talk about the idea of Afrofuturism and what it is. It's not science fiction, like how we understand what science fiction is in cinema and literature about life in other planets and stuff like that. It's a fiction that is speculation, since we don't have the idea of who really were our ancestors. We need to try to create this, try to speculate this. I'd like to hear the other people. I think I'm talking a little bit too much. Don't worry. You brought to light very important points to the discussion. For example, when you're talking about the narratives of stories and how we build those stories, not only in our lives but also in our work, in our day-to-day, is the concept of Sankofa, because it's go, come back, and take it. When we realize that the African culture and Africa has been a continent that's always been pluralized with an influence of lots of different people from different cultures. It's the culture of, we're talking about the culture of morality. We've always had the figure of the wise one, the holder of knowledge, the one that used to have the knowledge from their ancestors and put that forward to the next generation. So I believe one of the big situations where the bourgeois disconnect us and from our ancestry is exactly in the point where they work on our ancestry. They disconnect us from our ancestry, so we don't know our story. We live in a country that the base was created with genocide into the. But we're still a people that are very ethnic. But even though the core of this country is with indigenous and Black people, actually the society is very white, it's very Caucasian, it's very European. They need to learn the story of Africa. And the only thing that they know about the story of Africa here in Brazil is is when you're learning about slavery, about colonization, about exploration. So this contributes in a psychological way, a disconnection from our ancestries from Africa, you know. So, because what happens when the first thing that you learn about your ancestors are about slavery, you know. While we know that that is not the first thing that should be learned about our stories, you know. There's so many communities in Africa. Our story in Africa began with the creation of knowledge, you know, concepts of knowledge that began in Africa and then went to Greece, for example. Even lots of Greek concepts and gods, the Greek gods were actually references, were actually inspired by African deities, you know. So it's really sad to know that, you know, the first thing that people here learn about Africa is only slavery and exploration. I am a young woman of only 20 years old, but I only started really learning the different story about Africa, about our ancestry, only began when I was 17 because I went to learn, you know. And unfortunately, most people don't actually learn, don't actually know the real story, you know. It's important to know everything that's been constructed in the Black literatures, you know. These are questions that need to be questioned, to be looked at, to come to light, you know. The story that we talk to tell our world, all of that is politics, you know. It's something that happens in every sphere of society. We need to bring to light as Black productions, Black screenwriters, Black teachers. We need to tell this story, the real story of Africa. Next year, my book is going to be released that is inspired on Black goddess. So, because as Black people, we are plural people. You know, we have a diversity in narratives, in religions, in constructions. Because Africa are the roots of everything that we know as humans. When we actually stop and study the origin of everything.
Lindeza. Eu sempre gosto de te escutar, Yasmin, assim, né?
I always love listening to you, Yasmin. It's been I've been following your work for many years now, and it's amazing to listen to your poetry and actually see how well you work. And it leaves me with, you know, like really proud and lots of emotion, and it's great to see you how you have been building a conscious that's richer and richer, that has roots, that has a base, that has a study. It's really good to hear you and learn with you. Even though we are, you know, like Mariana said, she's older than us, you know, and Yasmin is only 20. I'm actually also 10 years older than Yasmin. So listening to you, Yasmin, what you said about how richer our society is, how rich Black people are, and the political aspects And I'd like to know by you,
várias antologias ao longo desse
that is about to release a book and has been studying on this subject for a long time. In the last 5 years, we've been producing a lot and a lot since you began your research with on Africa and you started focusing on your artistic movements and how you've been noticing, what you've been saying about literature today, and what inspires you, in a personal way. I'd like you to talk about a little bit about that. Thank you very much. You are an amazing woman, a woman that I admire a lot. So I'm really, really happy when we are able to share experiences. I've been noticing Brazilian literature. Of course, when we're talking about artists that are not published by they're very common, very mainstream people, right? So when we're talking about Bahia, Rio, and Sao Paulo, everyone that is being produced by Black artists and Black and indigenous artists is been working. I've been seeing that there's been more sharing. I think we're living a moment where young people have been trying to rescue their stories. Something that I've been noticing more and more these days, I've been noticed that literature and how literature has been going towards this, I noticed that, in fact, all the elements are within many and many communities, and it's been influencing these young people, this new generation of literature writers, We can see this in some honorable mentions, some awards. So when we look at what is being researched today, especially by the younger artists, we can see that it's been a change, There has been an interest to try to learn about their ancestry. And that is very interesting. In relation to my own personal influences, I've always been in love with story, of history. One of my friends always used to say that it was really hard to look at my books, for example, my school books, because I always used to put history, like facts and interesting details within my book. I get inspired about our ancestry. I'm inspired by our journey. And the more I study, I notice on how we can reach a common ground. There is an origin, these narratives, most narratives were actually influenced by a prime, by one place, For example, the Greek mythology, that's one of the focus where I focus. They took a lot of influence from Egyptian culture, Egyptian philosophy as well. So my work is it's like comes from immersion, I've been working with poems that has started since I was really, really young, since I was like 17. And some of, to write these things is something that's part of me, The things I do are things that I work. It's a fictional, for example, the short stories that I write, It's a bit fictional. It's a bit different, but it's a symbolization of what I've learned, of who I am. So when you buy something that I do, you actually buy like part of who I am. I love symbology. I love mythology, and what we need to survive. You know, so narrative is this: is to know yourself more and more. Especially when we think about the story of Black people in Brazil. It was a very hard story for Brazilian people, you know. What makes us alive today is our story, our history. Um, so I believe this is my strategy as well, you know, not only to survive, but to live as well, to understand this, our background.
Só suspirando aqui.
Yasmin, it's amazing to hear you talk.
E eu aqui, né, te escutando.
While I was listening to you, I was also thinking about a few points that Mariana was saying
Essa estratégia, né, de
on how we
falar sobre essas quebras, né,
this
dessa
how we can talk about
e o tempo todo se
the breaking, how we can deconstruct how the bourgeois and how the society tries to whiten us, you know, and how these things can influence us in many different aspects of life, and making us like always like alert, you know, what we've been influenced on and by, you know. So we have to create our ways of living, and not only resisting, you know, because to live is what is important, you know. It's what we need to do on a day-to-day basis, but we need to do so that other things can happen. And I'd like to talk to Mariana about her work, you know, and I know that, for example, when Yasmin talks about the immersion and the research, that they're individual for her, but they're also collective. When we're talking about the vision of our ancestry, you know, it's something that when we like that can connect us when we come together to talk about and can bring together. And your work has a lot to do with this. To produce films has to do with coming together, you know. It's where you put together people from different aspects of art and you have to work together with them. You produced Casca de Baobá that got lots of awards and was very well seen, you know, in film festivals. And I saw as well that recently you made a few episodes by the series Enigma by Energia Escura. There was a series that was actually available to lots and lots of people. It's a series that has it's on GNT. And I would like to know how is your day today? You do a lot of things. You know, you're in Colombia right now working. And how does that work? You know, how do you produce? How do you do you read a lot? You know, and you know, I want to know how it is. You're making productions. You're making all these studies, and I'd like for you to talk a little bit about what inspires you. So I'd like you to talk about all these things. Okay, let's go. I'm going to start. Not sure. Let's see. I'm trying to. Let's talk about Enigma. It's a recent job that I did. It's a job that I did with Love Fantasma, with an amazing crew behind, and I directed 2 episodes. It was a collective work. It was it was a Black project, and an all Black crew. It was something that was very collective, but at the same time was very remote, because we did during the pandemic. We did everything. We did most things remotely because we did it during the pandemic, of course. And it was really, really interesting to do a collective work while you are remote, when you're don't have contact with anyone in the crew. Cinema is something that is really hard to do, you know. And we had to do research within very, very different fields, and researching a lot of stuff. I think cinema is, when cinema happens, and what we need for cinema to happen, it's necessary for everyone to come together, you know. The research is part of it. The people that are there are also part of it. The production team influences everything, and everyone together is part of that creation, you know. I actually I went into the cinema by chance. I actually wanted to be a writer, but when I think about the beginning, I didn't have many references, you know. I didn't have a reference on like who inspires me, you know. I have lots of other references. Like I'm like I read a lot, like Ratado, which is a book that I used to read a lot of mythology as well, and and it was actually the way in how I actually noticed myself as a Black person, you know, to study all the philosophy behind it, the Bantu philosophy, you know. But where I understand that to see like all that work as Bantu is very it's to classify very in a niche, you know, like it's a very whitening way of saying it, you know. Today, thinking about me 20 years ago, the limitations I had back then were really great, you know. I didn't even know, for example, what I had to do to become a writer. But as I lived, you know, life happened, and it took me away from storytelling. And I actually went into cinema because cinema was like a door in which I thought like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to write. Where it was a moment where lots of my friends that did journalism started migrating to cinema. It was a moment that lots of people were seeing an opportunity within cinema because of government aid making movies, you know. So, at first I saw that cinema was a bit really like different than my life, you know, because they did productions like 1, 3, 4 productions a year, and that was a reality that I didn't see in me, you know. I thought I needed to work every day. I didn't think that I could actually earn money in cinema, but it was an opportunity for me to write, you know. It was something that actually I was like really indecisive on what I was going to do. And today my reference is exactly, you know, it's about it's like I'm like very deep within my research of trying to learn more about Africa. So I read a lot. I'm trying to deconstruct the whitening influences I had. Before Enigma, I was researching for a project that is still going to happen. I was looking a lot about at lots and lots of things. You know, I read about experimental theater, black theater, experimental black theater, about black writers. I read lots and lots of things and started studying and what we understand as a black movement, you know, trying to understand what the black movement is, not only like from the 20s, the 20th century, but the idea of the origins, you know. But I was trying to understand, I'm trying to understand where it comes from, the origin itself, you know. So we went to research the evolution like processes of José do Patrocínio, and we dove deep into this history about, and that was like an amazing experience. It's something that really makes me like makes me love cinema. The process that where we like go and research lots and lots of stuff, and then we put that all together to then write. It is a way where I could actually bring together all my ideas and create a new way of nation. I've never been a patriot, but lately I've begun to be more and more patriot, because before I didn't see myself as part of my nation, but now understanding a little bit more, I can create this patriotism in a way, because of the way it is only because of the way of how our ancestry is presented to us. But once we start understanding the real story of this country, not the one that is so taught to us, we start to notice on that we are part of this country. Something that actually helped me creating my narrative as well. You know, but how literature and cinema come together. I think that cinema has a huge power, because you can see what is happening, you know. It has the power. It's a space where you can fight, where you can have a fight for representation, and it's you know, and sometimes it's shameful how some narratives and some are put forward within cinema. And some narratives of nation that are created are also really shameful, you know. We need to understand on how this Republic of Brazil was created, and how Brazil became independent, and how they became independent only to maintain slavery. and how we have an idea of importing things that are white, that are European. But once you like go to study another narratives, you these narratives that were actually trying to be erased because of their power, you actually start understanding, you start taking notice of, at least for me, gave me this idea, this notion that, whoa, I'm actually part of this nation, you know? And the people that actually really built this country, those that history is part of me, you know. I'm talking about all this, I'm a bit lost already, but trying to close my line of thought. I think the reason I went into cinema is to try to fight against how people have been portraying our history. And I think that we are, I'm really proud to be here with people like Yasmin, you know, and these young people that are coming. I'm not saying that I'm really, really old, but it's interesting to see this. The way people are now in this new generation, actually fighting, actually looking for the ancestry, you know, people that are creating narratives that are going to fight, that are going to go against the idea that has been constructed for us.
Você trouxe alguma coisa, não foi? Assim, eu queria agora que vocês...
Mariana, I wanted now,
algum trecho.
both of you, I think you brought something for us to see. I wanted you guys to put that so we can see, you can see a bit of your work. And if you, Yasmin, or if you want to put a little bit of your work, we're at the end of the talk, and I would love to see a bit more of your work. I love what you've brought here, and because our answers are not simply linear, you know. They don't even have, it's impossible actually for it to be linear, because we are influenced by lots and lots of things, you know. We're influenced by the, you know, the Europeanization of our culture, something that influenced us, but we need to, you know, learn about our true history. So both of you brought that to the table, and I would like to see more and more of your work. I want to see what you guys brought for us today.
Em relação a novidades, eu poderia citar.
If I'm talking about what I've been working recently, I'm talking about a new book that I'm writing, right? It's a book that I've been writing with a group of other artists. It's been an amazing experience. It's talking about mythologies that are here in Brazil that have our African origin. And we try to use these mythologies in the present time. Some of them use African futurism, others use classical mythologies. So it is a very interesting book, you know. But there's going to be other editions, and it's going to reach everyone, I hope. I would like to bring to note Romance Incandescente. I have been working a lot, and I'm working to do my I'm working on going outside Brazil to learn more. And I also like to bring another work that's called Vanessa Incognita. She's now reciting a poem that talks about the origins of a woman, on how everything that she's made goes and talks to each other. All the influences come together to create different of who she is, you know.
Ai, que lindo! Quero ler.
That was really beautiful. I'd like to read a bit more of your work later. I brought a little teaser of my of a film I did, but I'm not managed to. I'm going to jump this. I'm going to actually later. I'll send the link of the movie. But I wanted to talk about something else right now. I would like to talk about a project that I've been working, because I think it's interesting. It's important for me to talk about it. Was actually how I met Anderson. Because actually I wanted to tell you, Calila, I'm not in Colombia, actually in Rio, but I'm doing a work in Colombia, so it's like it's going to be remotely, you know. So I'm in a project. It's a feature film in Colombia. It's been interesting to work remotely, and we're trying to recreate the assembly of the first assembly of the independent Brazil, and we're going to talk about how Brazil would be different if we had influence of black people that were, if they were part of that political movement, you know. Would like to create an alternative story on how it would be different if we've had black representation during that time. So to talk about this part of the film, we actually put together a group. First, we put together a research, not only historical, but also within the law, you know, because I wanted to talk about how the widening of Brazil is not only in society, but also is within our laws. And I invited Clara Pires, that is a teacher, and Someone else called an amazing historian, and both these women created this research group, and them and other students are researching lots of these aspects. And in February, we're going to release a website that is going to put together all the research that we've been doing. It's a history that we've been doing since 1970, but also we're going to bring that into the present. And we're going to bring to light people that try to fight against it. The people who are fighting against this whitening project. It was actually this project that made me meet Anderson. Even more interesting than showing a part of the film is to share this story. I'd like to thank Mariana for sharing more and more. I'm really looking forward to seeing this site in February. I think it's very important for us to learn this. It's important to make available our history, so because we know that we still have lots and lots of work to do, lots of ancestry to reconstruct our history here in Brazil. I'm really happy that you are working with Atula and Ana Magalhães, that are two amazing professionals, very inspiring professionals. They're researchers that are incredible. And they research with generosity and ethics and respect. It's really good also to listen to Yasmin's poetry, and also it's really good to know that Yasmin is going to release a book in 2022. I hope that when you travel travel outside abroad, I hope that all your dreams become true, that your work evolves more and more. I'd like to invite everyone to look for her in her socials and follow her work, because she's the next generation. So I want you guys that are listening to us take a look at our work. We're coming to an end right now, and I'd like you guys to make our final considerations in the way that you guys want. You can talk a little bit about, I think I can talk about something for the new generation. But I think you have spoke about that a bit already. So I'd like you guys to share a bit, anything you guys want. I would like firstly to thank Anderson. I'd like to thank the festival. I'd like to thank everyone that is here, everyone that made this possible. I'd like to thank Mariana and Calila. It's been an amazing morning. I'd like to thank this opportunity to be sharing. I'd like to thank everyone as well. This opportunity that we had of sharing, to be able to know these two amazing women and their works, and it's been an amazing experience, you know. Now you two are part of me. I'd like to thank Anderson, and Roberta, and Roberta. I'm actually really sorry that I spoke really, really fast. I tried to speak slower, but I spoke really fast, and I'm sorry about that. I'd like to thank him. I'd like to say sorry about the work I did, and I'd like to thank Sean, and I'd like to thank everyone that is here with us today, and everyone that is listening later. Thank you.
Eu também, né, fechando aqui, encerrando, eu queria
And
agradecer
to
todas as
close, I'd
pessoas
like to
que
thank
participaram
everyone that is here today.
agora,
Like to
não
thank
só
everyone that is watching us right now, everyone that's going to watch later. I'd like to thank all of you. I'd like to thank Mariana. I'd like to wish all the best always. Yasmin as well. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge. I'd like to thank Sean and Anderson for what you guys did, of bringing us together, all the generosity. I'd like to thank Roberto to be here interpreting for us, trying to bring forward our thinking. I'd like to wish health to everyone, that we can carry on with pride and always reaffirming our fight, our power. I'd like to end with a poetry. It's not only about me, it's about my own that I don't even know very well, but are part of me. Here where our roots are made, where blood and sun are part of our soil. It's not only about me, it's about everyone that believes in courage and Xinga, that only the ones that have. It's
no poder de bater cabeça e que paraíso é no chão. Muito obrigada.
It was a beautiful poetry about our roots and how our roots are important.